Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, and today I'll be reading a Todoroki Listener MHA. So let's get into it. Todoroki was very worried about you. After all, lately he has not been able to receive any calls from you. No matter how many times he dialed your number, no matter how many times he tried to call you or send you a text, there was nothing in response, and it worried him beyond belief. After all, it was a perfect signal that something was awfully wrong, and you did not even know what. So no wonder his thoughts just kept on wandering and wandering, and you had no idea where to stop them, and what was even right from wrong anymore. So, naturally, he felt like he had to do something, even if he possibly shouldn't, even if he should not cross that boundary. The two of you were close friends, and he loved you deeply. He had yet to tell you that, but he hoped that what he was doing would not annoy you, and he deeply hoped that the feeling in his heart was shared with you, and mutual. He could only wish, though. He had no idea if it was true. Regardless, he had no qualms about going to your house and seeing what's wrong for himself. He knocked once, twice, and there seemed to be nothing, until he heard the sounds of footsteps, and he waited with bated breath outside your door, until your father opened it, a scowl on his face. He had never seen the man before, only heard you mention him, and none of it was ever good. But seeing him like this, it was not a good sign, and Todoroki would know. He's been through that abuse himself. He would know how it looked like, but most importantly, he would know how to deal with it. And his instincts were screaming at him to get you out of here as soon as he possibly could. "Where is Ryan?" he asked, quite honest and not willing to play around. But your father seemed to dislike how much he just seemed to be honest with him about this. And any mention of you seemed to make his face darken. "She's not here. Now you better go out, boy. I don't want to see your face nearby." He growled at him before he left, slamming the door in Shoto's face. Shoto could tell that something was wrong, but would your father lie to him? He had no idea. He could only keep thinking in his mind, and as he kept thinking and thinking, he stayed in that same spot, right in front of your door, and soon he heard the sound of a scream and shouting. So he got closer, leaning against it to try and hear what's going on, and he heard your father screaming at you, the sound of you crying, and his heart lurched with fear and worry. Just what was he doing to you? What could be going on that all of this was happening? He had no idea whether or not he should step in, but then he heard him. "Ryan, you absolute whore. I see your boyfriend has come here to pick you up. Did you tell him anything? Did you text him? I took your phone, didn't I? Your father yelled at you, and he hit you, making you cry out in pain. I didn't tell him anything. He shouldn't even know I'm here. I told him I was going to my grandma's place." You say, and all of that was really true, but your father did not seem to believe you, as you cried again, and he kept on hitting you, causing you to scream and tell him to stop. And that's when your front door was broken. Todoroki stepping in. He could not stay outside any longer. He couldn't handle it. It was too much. Too much to bear and too much to look at. And most importantly, the sound of you crying tore his heart apart. How could anyone do this? To anyone, much less his own daughter? He could not comprehend it. Sure, people like this existed. His father was a horrible one. But to think that there are many more of them, it broke him. And it broke him that you came from the same background, too. Leave her alone, Todoroki said, storming inside and placing your father in his place, taking you from his arms. I will report you. I have proof. The injuries on her, and I even recorded your voice. Everything. The heroes will know. He spat out, angry, raging, just as his heart was, and your father seemed to pale at this knowledge. He did not want anything getting out. And most importantly, he did not want Todoroki in the way of his plans. You will not tell them. Tell him, Moyan. You can't do this to your father, can you? But you cried, refusing to respond. He seemed to be broken, physically, mentally, and every level there was. And Todoroki was not having it. He had already sent someone a text to come and deal with your own father. And as for you, he picked you up in his arms so gently, and he kisses you, stroking your hair. You'll be alright, Wayan. You don't have to tell me anything. And you shouldn't feel bad about what's going to happen to him either. You'll be okay. I promise you. An ambulance is on the way, and they're going to get to us soon. I promise you you'll be okay. Trust me on that. And although your consciousness was slowly fading away to nothingness, you had a strong feeling in your heart, one that defied all odds, as you knew you had to get these words out, because now you knew what your heart was beating for all along. Funny enough that your father assumed that Todoroki was your boyfriend, and yet none of it was ever true. Maybe it never will be, as his legs above you. But you guessed he was right about one thing. You had feelings for him. And that's why, before he passed out, you told him, I love you, Shoto. He whispered weakly. And as he stood completely stunned by your words, he knew there was a lot that you were going to talk about after you woke up. But for now, he just had to make sure you'd be okay.